Thank you for tuning in to the Growing SLOcal Podcast. In this week's episode, we're joined by Anouk of novysark. Welcome to episode 4 of the Growing SLOcal Podcast, and I am joined this week by Anouk from novysark. novysark is a nonprofit dog rescue organization out of Atascadero. We've been working with them for a couple of months, and we've gone to some of your events. We've hopefully helped some dogs get adopted. But yeah, we've started a great working relationship with you, and we're still so proud to work with you.
And we're very grateful on our end, for sure. We're excited about what you're doing, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, Thank you so much. So for all of your potential supporters, new potential foster parents for dogs, tell us about novysark.
Well, I'll start from the beginning.
All right.
So I've always wanted to work with dogs. I worked at Woods for quite a while. I worked at different veterinary clinics, all of that. Always wanted to help out. The idea, Novy is my last name.
Oh,
and so
okay.
It was a play on Noah's Ark.
Right.
So it was going to be 2 by 2. So I thought I could do this out of my home. I could build an area for dogs, and I could go to the high kill shelters, and I could get 2 dogs and rehome them. And then once they found homes, go and get 2 new dogs. And that was sort of the starting point of it all. How we have it set up is that it looks like a home. So they aren't in kennels, anything like that. They have a 1/4 acre with trees and grass and all of that. And then when they go indoors, there's couches and artwork and a flat screen TV for
really?
And so it's also great. It's an easy way for them to transition to living in a home, because they've already been used to a TV sound and people going in and out and a door opening and all of that. But also it's nice for them. And again, the plan was 2 by 2. Slowly, I figured it would take probably about a year or so to find 10 dogs homes. The idea was going to the highest kill shelters that we had within a 2 to 3 hour radius of where we live.
Oh, wow.
So I researched that. Bakersfield, number 1. Fresno. We take from Avenal and Salinas as well. And occasionally from ours. Ours being San Luis Obispo Animal Services. And I thought, if I did that consistently, I think about 10 dogs in a year I could manage. I wasn't sure if I could. I thought I was kind of overshooting it. And we've been around about 2.5 years. And so I thought it would be about 25 dogs. And yesterday I adopted out dog number 185.
Oh my goodness. 185 dogs so far?
Not what I at all planned on, expected, nothing. Yeah. I literally just picked up a dog right before I came here. So It's just nonstop. Yeah.
You just don't stop.
It's not what I expected. So many people say like, oh my gosh, that's my dream. I would love to rescue dogs. Oh, yeah. I can't wait. I'm going to buy some property and do it. It's a lot. It's one thing that a lot of people don't think about is like the mental toll.
Really?
Because you see pictures of dogs that are going to be euthanized on the 24-hour list every single day. Unfortunately,
really
we still really have not gotten the spay-neuter idea out to people. In some of the more socioeconomically challenged areas, let's call them, it's too expensive to spay or neuter your pet. You don't reach out about it, and your dog gets pregnant. It's like, oh, well, we'll just give them to friends or not, or what, or we let them loose. Bakersfield right now has a huge problem with that. That's one of the issues, is that people go out and dump dogs like crazy. The orchards are filled with dogs. There's multiple organizations in Bakersfield, California. All they do is feed the dogs that are dumped. And they do that every day, morning till night, every single day. These people are amazing. I don't know how they do it. We get calls all the time, especially if you're not familiar, Bakersfield gets to like 112 some days in summer, and the dogs will literally die from the heat.
So you're saying that this is such an extensive problem in Bakersfield, which is just a place in, Central Valley.
Yep.
That there are organizations dedicated to simply showing up and helping the dogs survive.
Correct.
And this isn't even going into, the effort to find them a new home.
No. The problem is the shelters are so overfull that if they take them to the shelter, they're immediately euthanized. So they are trying to help these dogs survive. So they're trying to, there's been a couple of places that have offered up 1 or 2 kennels that do, like pet sitting type things. But in reality, they have nowhere to go. So their goal is to keep them alive until they can slowly get them out to different rescues. Or even one of the big things that's happening in the Central Valley too is we are shipping dogs to Montana, to Canada, to Washington State, lots of different places because they don't have the same problems we do in California.
Really?
California and Texas are the worst in the United States right now. California, I believe, just recently surpassed Texas as the number 1 for the rate of euthanasia in our country. Yeah, it's
for like in general, euthanized animals, or are we talking euthanized canines and more specifically euthanized small canines?
So that's a big thing. Small dogs generally, this is generalization, aren't euthanized at all at the same rates as large dogs. So, for example, if you went down to our local shelter here, you would see a ton of huskies, German shepherds, pit bulls, all sorts of things. Are you going to see a ton of little dogs? No. Those dogs get adopted right away. There's a lot more people interested in them. They're easier, seniors can have them. Lots of people have breed restrictions or size restrictions where they live. Those dogs tend to get adopted out and far less are euthanized. The small dogs that are euthanized, it's usually behavior issues, medical issues, things like that. It's the majority are large dogs that are being euthanized. And unfortunately, the big thing that people also don't realize, the majority of the dogs that have been euthanized just lately in one of the shelters we pull from are actually puppies. They're just euthanizing the puppies. Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
It's very much so. There's another organization in Bakersfield, and she just did a video, and all it was all of the puppies at that specific shelter and how that's what they're having to euthanize. It's the people at these shelters don't want to do it. It's, people all say, oh, these shelters are so awful. They're killing all these animals. These people don't want to do it. They just literally have, 250 dogs, and there's people in the lobby all day long dumping dogs, and the trucks are out there. Animal Services has to pick up any stray by law and bring it in. There's nowhere for them to go,
So the problem is to the extent that there are specific organizations that are tasked with just keeping the dogs alive. Mm-hmm. And then there's not even a guarantee that the dogs that stay alive will be placed into a new home, because when they get to the shelter will reach its capacity constraints. And then, depending on the likelihood that the dog will be adopted, whether or not they have any existing ailments, behavioral issues.
Figured they've been living in an orchard, let's say, for 3 or 4 months. They're not going to be in great shape. On top of which, they're probably going to be really scared.
Yeah.
They're going to be, these aren't going to be the dogs that are going to run to the front of the kennel, tail wagging, like, oh, pick me, pick me. They're going to be in back, terrified, whatever. When someone is choosing the dogs that they're going to euthanize that day, they're going to choose the ones with medical issues, behavioral issues, etc. So yeah, we personally got a call from one of these organizations, and they had trapped a dog finally after 3 months of feeding her. She had had puppies, and they had unfortunately all passed away in the heat. And we took her, but she's going to be a long-term project. I still can touch her maybe like once every couple of days. But it's only if I have food and I'm really close. She runs for me, and it's been a month, so lots of organizations, we're lucky, but lots of organizations can't do that. That's not realistic. And surely a shelter that has, let's say they have 200 kennels, they're not going to fill their kennels with dogs like that are unadoptable. That's the reality, so they don't stand a chance once they're in the shelter. So they rely heavily on rescues to come and get them. Yeah.
Good gravy.
Yeah. It's people are shocked when I say, number one, that we're euthanizing puppies at an alarming rate. I'm shocked that there's no consequence. If you see someone drive out with their car, open the car doors, dump all these dogs and drive away, nothing happens. There's no repercussion. Nothing.
So the problem starts, where does the problem start, do you think? Because, I mean, this seems like a large, multifaceted, extremely complicated, extremely expensive, and majorly humanitarian issue.
There's lots of different, everyone kind of has a different theory. Some people are staunch, spay neuter, and that'll take care of all the problems. Yeah. Some people are like breeding. We shouldn't be giving out as many breeding permits until this is under control. Some people, it's just basic education. I think it's kind of a combo of everything. I think, unfortunately, in some of these areas, people have grown up culturally where it is A-okay to have your dog not be fixed, not go to the vet, run loose in the neighborhood. It gets pregnant. Oh, the puppies are cute. That's fine. You give them to your neighbors. Then we go round and round again. And it's just not sustainable. And so, these dogs all get picked up. Nobody. So I wish I knew the numbers better for you, but it's amazing how many dogs come into the shelter and how few are picked up by their owners. That's another thing. If you own a dog and it gets out, if I went home and my dog had gotten out of the yard, I would be hysterically looking for the dog. It's wild.
The cops would already be on the block because you've been tearing your home apart.
And I've called everyone and I panic, smoke signals. Yeah. I'm shocked at how many people do not pick up the dogs. People that have dogs that are microchipped, and they contact them and say, we have your dog. It's microchipped. It's here. And they say, we don't want it.
You're kidding.
So, not at all. So it's the idea of like a dog is a lifetime commitment. I say this all the time, and no offense to horses. I'm not a huge horse fan. To me, they smell, they're big. I can't relate. I'm not going to own a horse. I don't want to spend the money on a horse. I don't want to have a horse. All these people that really don't care about their dogs, you can choose to not have a dog. Don't get a dog and then, I'm moving. It's not convenient. I'm going to dump it. Or we just took a mama dog that was left in a house that was foreclosed. They just locked it in the house and left.
No.
100%. Yes. 100%. And she was pregnant. Yes. And a purebred Cocker Spaniel. So
someone leaves a purebred Cocker Spaniel pregnant.
Yeah.
Just in
a foreclosed
house.
A
foreclosed home.
Yes. Absolutely. And if it dies, it dies. That is not a problem in their mind. That's the bottom line. These people that are dumping these dogs when it's 112 degrees outside, they're not like, oh gosh, I really think it's going to go well for this dog. No, they just don't want to deal with it. They don't care. So to me, one of the big issues is dog ownership should be more difficult. You should have to, spaying and neutering should be more enforced. If your dog gets out, it shouldn't be just a little like, no big deal. Maybe the first time, but that should be like a serious thing. If your dog isn't, I got a call yesterday. This woman is concerned about a husky. It's her neighbor's dog. it's tied up so that it can only move a few feet. Well, it can't really get to its water dish. It can't get to shade. And this is its life. And our laws are so backward and old as long as it has basic shelter, so that can be like, I rescued a dog that the overhang of the house, it was a small dog, that was considered shelter because it was enough that if he squeezed over, that was considered shelter. So they don't have to be able to move or have any enrichment or anything like that. We need to change these laws, but the problem is still we have too many dogs. So I think we should be giving out less breeding permits, especially for the dogs. For example, to me, if you want a German Shepherd, I can't tell you how many purebred German Shepherds I've seen in the shelter. Should people be allowed to continually breed German Shepherds at this point? I don't think so. Or, yes, of course, there are some great breeders and those that are really doing it, show quality dogs, all that. I'm okay with that. Those aren't the dogs that are in the shelter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the dogs that...
These are dogs that are adopted, by homes that want them.
They're on waiting lists for years for these dogs. That's a different situation.
Different owner.
Got it. Research the breed, all that sort of stuff. The people that are doing it to make money, it happened a lot during COVID. People were stuck at home looking for ways to make money, so they started breeding dogs and did it just for the money. So now we see any dog that's trendy. So doodles are very trendy. Frenchies are very trendy. You'll see lots of very, I don't want to say poor quality. It seems mean to the dog, but, not up to breed standard. Breeding's going on by people that are really greedy, and it's a great way to make money. So.
And breed standard, you mean like what is considered like healthy and appropriate for the dog?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Instead of going like, well, this one's cute and we'll just do this and we don't know its background or it'll be fine. What's happening is also the problem is, I hate to say it, but the person that pays $5,000 for a dog that's cute and isn't high quality and isn't coming from a good breeder. We see that all the time. And it's not a good breeder because they have a paper sign at the gas station that says, purebred Australian Shepherds, puppies, $1,000 each. Well, if you're a really good breeder, you don't even have to advertise. People have been waiting for your puppies for years.
Yeah, because they've probably seen you elsewhere.
And they've done the research and all that. So it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And there are almost every breed of dog that you could want, you can find in a rescue situation if you're willing to wait. You might not find a purebred poodle puppy tomorrow, but a purebred poodle, they're out there. They're in shelters. And what's happening too is some people... They're seeing now, and especially down in LA, where breeders can't sell the puppies, and so they're dumping these dogs at the shelters, and they're available. They're out there. Let me know if there's a certain breed, and I will research it and help you find it because they're all available.
So they're being dumped in fields. They're being dumped at shelters.
Yeah. So if you're they call them backyard breeders, but let's say you're a breeder just in it for money, just trying to, and then it gets to the point, well, this litter didn't sell. People aren't paying $500 for this litter, blah, blah, blah. You just take them to the shelter. You dump them off and maybe you go again, or maybe you change the breed because that one's not as popular anymore or whatever it is. Yeah. So not buying from breeders that are not quality, spaying and neutering your pets, keeping your pets. If you move, figure out a way to do something. Don't just say, well, this department I found doesn't take dogs. You don't go there then, you have to really think of it as a lifetime commitment.
Absolutely.
And if that's not your thing, just like me with horses, get don't have to have a dog. You can volunteer. You can get a stuffed animal. Yeah, you don't have to have a dog.
Nothing wrong with being a responsible stuffed animal owner.
I mean,
Plenty of things wrong with being an irresponsible pet owner.
100%. 100%. And I say it all the time. People who don't care create a problem for those of us that do. And it's not fair to constantly have to clean up after everyone else. But then you look at the dog that's there and suffering. And if you care, it's hard. You want to do something. So you get involved and you start rescuing out of your house, you know?
Right.
So there's always a need. Always. Yeah. Big time.
So you're putting yourself to task to solve a heartbreaking, very difficult problem that starts in any number of places, but always has, unfortunately, a common endpoint in that, you know, the dog's either not cared for and it's out on its own, or the dog's in a shelter. And then you know what happens from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't expect at all to, that's the hard thing is you do this, you put your all into it. And sometimes you feel like you don't see any results. I have to take the time. And so every dog that we place, I put a picture up in the doghouse with their name and what number they were and whatever.
Oh, good.
There's times that I have to go in and sit in there and look at the wall because I feel like I'm not making any difference. You know, I just see these numbers just going up and up and up and, you know, hundreds of dogs being euthanized every week. And I think like, well, what's the point? I have to go in there and look at the pictures of the dogs and go, that's the point. And that's the point. You know,
That's
even
right.
if it's that small, you know, it that makes a difference to
you're,
that dog.
Yeah, you're out there every day, you know, in your armor,
Right.
fighting the battle, and you have to have a place to kind of retreat to let you know that everything you're doing is for these faces that you're seeing on the wall.
Yeah. Because it's hard. I mean, like I said, there's several organizations. Well, I work with different shelters, but they send you what they call the 24-hour list. And so looking at that each morning when you wake up, here's the dogs that will be put to sleep in 24 hours. That's hard to do every single day and be able to say, well, I can help one, you know, but that's the reality. And one is better than none.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you get those emails directly from the shelters?
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay. So you get these emails every morning.
Mm-hmm.
This is our 24-hour list.
Mm-hmm.
How many shelters do you get emails from?
I have turned off most of them.
Oh, no.
Because I couldn't handle, because the bigger shelters, they're large numbers of dogs. So it's also not feasible. I'm not going to look through 300 dogs between that's just not. What I do is a lot of times I will look very quickly, but if we have a space, we reach out immediately. I don't sometimes look if I don't have a space because there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. Thankfully, this letter or this email is going out to all the rescues that work with them. I have to remember that too. It's not just coming to me,
right.
You know. But for example, maybe a month or so, we got the 24-hour list and I opened it and the first dog on there, I thought he had been burned. He was black. He was like missing all of his hair. I was like, what is that? And so I looked on there and they said it was some sort of dachshund mix, which is always a little bit my heart.
Yeah. Extra sad.
And I said, what's the story? And they said, they're euthanizing him for health issues, terrible health issues, don't know what's going on. But, you know, I said, is he even slightly friendly? And these people at these shelters really want to not euthanize. So she said, hold on a second, I'm going to go take a video. And she sat down and he jumped in her lap. And I said, we'll take him. I'll get him tomorrow. And we went and we picked him up and he was like molting. He had like no hair, broken ribs,
oh my God,
heart murmur, anemia, like it just all this sort of stuff.
It's just terrible.
He's fantastic. He's the cutest, most sweet, adorable, great dog. Got adopted. He's doing well. His hair's all growing back. He's a young little spry guy, so it feels great when we can do it, but we can only do that. I had a space. So I was like, okay, I can take a dog. So then I'll look at the list, because otherwise for me, it's too heartbreaking. A lot of rescuers will look at the whole list every day.
How do they determine the recipients of their emails? Are they just sending them out to local humanitarian?
No, you have to have like an agreement with the shelter. So if I want to start rescuing from a certain shelter, they each have requirements. So they will say, we need your 501c3 paperwork. We need, some of them are like, we want your local animal control, we want to talk to one of their officers to make sure they've been out to your property and this and that and the other. And then once it's all set up, you have an agreement with them and you're one of their rescue partners. But until that, so I'm rescue partners with certain shelters. If someone calls me and says, oh, I want to pull from this shelter, and I don't have a rescue agreement with them, I can't pull from them. I can set it all up to do that, but for now, we're so overwhelmed with just the few shelters that we pull from, we don't even need to add more. We only pull from probably about 5 shelters.
Gotcha.
Because we're small,
Yeah, well, 2 by 2.
Yeah.
But...
Except for sometimes 12 by 12. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so they send them out. You guys receive them. You comb through the different like at-risk dogs or at-risk breeds. What happens from that point?
You can fill out an application for us when there's no dog there that you're interested in. So let's say you're a huge Weimar on our fan, and that's the dog you want. You can fill out an application saying that's what you're looking for.
Okay.
If I were to see one in a shelter, I might go back and say, ooh, let me look at that. Ooh, he wants a male under 2 years. This might be a good fit. And so there's a little bit of the matchmaking in there, trying to get a dog out of one of these high-risk shelters for someone that is interested. When we did that originally, all of our applications looked exactly the same. It was under 20-pound, female, poodle, or other hypoallergenic breed. Like, it's wild. So those dogs are in demand. That's what everybody wants. If they're ever at the high kill shelters, do we take them? Absolutely. Because we know that we'll be able to place those quickly and get another dog. Sometimes it's just like that dog that I called him Phoenix because I thought he was completely burned. Sometimes it's just I look at it and I say, we got to help that one. Lately we've been taking a lot of pregnant dogs. The problem with the situation with the pregnant dog is dogs in these shelters, they're just jam-packed in there. They have puppies in there. Those puppies have no immunity to all the diseases that are in these shelters. They tend to get sick and die. So it's rough. So sometimes I say we're not going to take another pregnant dog. We just adopted out the puppies from that Cocker Spaniel mom yesterday. We're getting pregnant dog tomorrow. So I've been back to back 4 times on the pregnant dogs. So I'm not really doing very well at saying no. But yes, we're taking another pregnant dog. One thing that a lot of people don't know that is probably, I don't know if it's shocking or not, but they abort a lot of the pregnant dogs, the puppies, because they're going to have to euthanize them in a couple of weeks. So they would rather just, especially if it's early on, that's very common to spay and abort all the puppies. There's nowhere for them to go. They're going to be born into a shelter that's already overcrowded. And most likely, they're not going to make it anyway, unfortunately. We've taken multiple mama dogs whose puppies have all died at the shelter. So it's none of it is happy, skippy, sunshine and rainbows.
No, it's awful.
No, it's all tough. So you got to really get excited when you get a home for someone. And, I love when I get an update and it's like, this dog's running on the beach for the first time in its life or something like that. But it's hard because those are little happies versus a lot of sads.
They're little victories among, an ocean of loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And literally, if every single person did what I was doing, we still wouldn't quite get there, at least not soon. People really have to step up and spay and neuter and call out if you have a friend that is just like, oh, my dog, I don't believe in spaying and neutering. My dog's pregnant again. Say something, do something about it, and, and other ways that you can do things.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah.
So I know that we have 6 different ways to support Novy's arc. And these are different ways that potential dog parents can help and potential sponsors or how am I trying to say it?
Supporters.
People who can fund you.
Yes. We're always in need of donations. The more, one of the things we want to have is a veterinary fund. So the more money that we have, the more likely we are to be able to take special needs dogs. So we've taken dogs with 2 broken legs. We've taken, something like that, but we know we're going to need splint changes and x-rays and for months until it's healed or whatever. So I am more cautious when I look at that sort of stuff, or a dog that's got a huge tumor that's going to have to be removed, or whatever it is. So having funds for that is great. We do sponsorships. So this pregnant dog I'm taking again, we do sponsorships for the puppies. So when the puppies are born, people, generally businesses, it's a $500 sponsorship, and you sponsor a puppy and you get to name the puppy and you get to, put on your website, oh, we're helping a local rescue by supporting. Our last litter of puppies, we gave them celebrity names. And so you can say, oh, I'm sponsoring Orlando Bloom, and, here he is. That was the first one they named him Orlando. Before that was Spices.
Oh, no.
We had all the different spices and Disney characters. We've done different ones. So, but it's a really great way for someone in the community to help us out, and for us to also acknowledge them and say, gee, thanks to this winery that is sponsoring this dog and all that. Their logo goes on our website, that sort of thing. But yeah, we're always in need of donations. And we have something like I don't know if it's on here. Oh, this membership. It's $25 a month. You can go on our website, and that's super helpful for us. That is usually what helps us with like food and vaccines and like the everyday stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one way of donating. We have events that you can come to. We just had a backyard concert. And so you come to that. The next thing is we're doing a sip and paint thing where
When's that?
On the 24th.
This month?
At Benny's Pizza in Slow, and you pay and you paint, I'm sure you've heard of these before, where you paint a painting and you sip wine while you do it. And in my case, throw it in the trash afterwards because it's so bad. Not quite, but I hung it in my garage. If that says anything.
Hang on to it.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the garage.
Next time you can just paint over it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It'll be about 10 layers thick.
Yeah.
Fostering is something too. We're always looking for foster homes. It's for a small dog, it's a maximum of 1 month commitment. For a large dog, it's a maximum of a 2-month commitment, and everything's provided. So I give you food and a crate and toys and whatever, and you just have them at your house. And I ask you to take pictures, and we promote them, and it allows us to take another dog that we wouldn't be able to. So we are now basically, I still do the 2 dogs at my house, but everything other than the 2 dogs is in foster.
Right.
So if we have 12 dogs, that means I've got 10 dogs in foster and 2 at my house.
And how do people sign up to be fosters for Novy's Ark?
On the website, there's a foster application.
Got
So
it.
if you go to volunteer, there's a volunteer tab and a foster tab. And you fill out the foster application, and we chat with you. We'll come to your house and be like, okay, I noticed that, this fence is really short, so we know we'll probably be giving you smaller dogs or whatever it is. And you can be relatively picky. We have multiple people that only foster puppies or only foster small dogs or only whatever works for you. And And you don't have to do it forever. You can do it once and see what you think.
Gotcha.
And lots of people do it once and keep the dog, which I don't mind either.
Yep.
Foster fail is real.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Volunteering. We always need people to walk the dogs. We need people. One of the big things is because we're small and we're new, a lot of people don't know about us. So one of the fun things I always say is we do dog socialization and off-site. So you literally can come take a dog and go wine tasting. And
That's cool.
They wear a little Adopt Me outfit.
Wow.
And people will come up to you and say, like, tell me about this dog, or, oh, and you just say, oh, this dog is available through novysark. It's a 5-month-old dachshund mix, and his name is Leroy, and blah, blah, blah. that's who I just picked up. I picked up a 5-month-old dachshund mix named Leroy just a couple hours ago. Oh. So, or take him to the beach, or whatever you feel like doing, getting their word out and getting them out, getting exposure. So there's tons of fun things to do. There's also maintenance and really exciting things like that.
Oh, maintenance. Tell me about.
Nobody signs up for maintenance. Oh. I have one volunteer that does it, and he comes out, and I'll say, oh, this gate is broken, or but we don't get a lot of that. We get a lot of, can I cuddle puppies?
Right. Yeah. That's the best kind of work.
That's the kind of volunteer work most people want to do, for sure. But no, we can always use volunteers for all sorts of things. Social media and things like that. Someone asked if we were on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I am not that cool. I'm barely working with what I got here. I just learned to do reels not that long ago. So anybody that's into that, unfortunately, due to our insurance, we can't have volunteers under the age of 18.
Okay.
But if people want to get involved and they're under 18 and they're any good at social media, they can come out, and I give them a bunch of videos or whatever, and they can make cool little reels and TikToks or whatever they're called. Yes.
Nice. So you're accepting volunteers to make digital stuff for you.
Absolutely.
Make advertisements for you.
Absolutely.
Knit cute hats for you.
Yes. And for me.
Write corny jokes for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll take it all. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, sign me up.
We had people that made dog biscuits, like peanut butter, oatmeal, applesauce. It's like 4 or 5 ingredients, and you can make dog biscuits for the dogs. There's tons of things. We've had people do garage sales for us.
So, however anybody is used to helping out an organization like yours, they could very easily help you out. Absolutely. As well.
Yep.
But there are also a lot of fun dog-specific ways that they can help you, and they can find out all about those different options on the website, novysark.org.
Yep. And I always tell people, follow us on social media. That tends to be where you'll see the most that's going on. If you sign up to volunteer, we do a monthly orientation, and we go over all the different things you can do during the orientation, and then you just come out when you have time. We only require 2 hours a month. So it is not super, if people go, oh, I don't want to, because I've volunteered before for different organizations where it was like a job, and you were assigned hours, and you had to be, we're much more open about it as far as like, hey, if you need to be flexible and this week works and that, great. We'll take anything.
So you'll take the help that is gracious enough to come your way.
Absolutely. We're, like I said, we're a smaller organization. We're newer. Lots of people don't know about us. So, these organizations that have 30, 40,000 followers after a year or so, like when they say, oh, this dog's in need of a home, that reaches so many more people.
Yeah.
So we have a dog named Poppy. You have met Poppy.
I've met Poppy. I've seen her. I've watched her grow up.
Yes, that's unfortunate. We shouldn't be watching puppies grow up with us. But she was a dog that came to us at like 2 months old. And she's a shepherd mix, and she's going to be a bigger, not huge, but a bigger dog. And she's very vocal, and she can be reactive, and she scares people off. And she's so great in her home with her people, but it's very hard to get someone to meet her without her showing off all her worst qualities. And so she's growing up with us. And it's unfortunate because whoever is going to adopt her hasn't seen her because we haven't gotten to them.
And
yet,
Poppy is such a beautiful, misunderstood
yes.
sweetheart.
And she is in a foster home now where all she does is wrestle and play all day with their dog.
So she's living
She's
it up.
just having the best time, going to the beach, going to the park, just loving it. Loves the kid in the family. She's great with kids. She's just having a good old time. She's very much a guard dog. And she's very much, when someone new approaches, she's going to bark at them, whatever. And she's improved greatly, but that's still generally the kind of dog she's going to be.
Right.
And so we are looking for a very specific home. So again, maybe 10,000 people need to see her before her owner sees her. So just spreading the word is the name of the game.
So stay vocal, stay engaged, stay involved.
Yeah.
Sign up for any communications that you have. Visit your social media. Visit your website. And
share the posts.
Yeah, share the posts.
Yeah.
And overall, just really any way that you can help Novy's Ark is greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
And I can say this as somebody that's been to a bunch of your events and has held your dogs and has walked around and talked to fosters and talked to other people who are helping you. You, as an organization, do one of the most emotionally burdensome, difficult kinds of work.
Yeah.
From like a bunch of different levels, because the subject matter is hard, but then you're taking you're taking a dog out of that environment, and then you're building a relationship with it, and you're hoping that things are going well. And like, you're seeing so many stages of life happen, and you're touched in so many different ways, but it's just grueling.
It in the industry, people talk about it a lot, about like, what are you going to do about the burnout? It's called compassion fatigue.
Yeah.
And just being constantly wanting to help and do good. And then one time it happened to me, I was at the Bakersfield shelter where we pull a lot of dogs. And it was the first time I was taking a big group of dogs. I was taking 7 dogs, and I felt like I'm making such a difference.
Right.
And I felt like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite thing, is when I drive away from the shelter, I talk to the dogs the whole drive home. I'm like, your life's about to change. But I loaded up the car and I went in, and the lobby was full of people dumping their dogs. And the guy in front of me was dragging 2 pregnant pit bulls into the thing. And it just takes the wind out of your sails, because you feel like, I'm doing nothing. Like, these numbers aren't, again, I got to look at the 7 that are in my car. That's all I can do. But
it's really easy to get beaten down, because the problem that you're trying to help with in the world is so pervasive, and it seems like it may not have been created out of negligence, but it's certainly exacerbated by negligence.
Fueled.
And so, I mean, with negligence, it's like, do you just not know what to do properly, or do you just not care enough? And both of those circumstances, both of those answers in your eyes is probably like, well, that's not good enough.
And it's a combo of all that.
Yeah.
It's people who don't think of a dog as a soulful creature that is suffering and whatever. They have grown up, or have, for whatever reason, they don't view that. And people say that to me all the time. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're spending all that money. It's a dog. And I get that. I understand that that's the way they view things and whatever. But these are the people that shouldn't have a dog. Don't have a dog. Or if you're choosing to have a dog, educate yourself about the breed. If you're like, oh my gosh, we want a great family dog, and we're a little bit on the lazy side, and we like to hang out and watch TV, we want a dog, don't get a Malinois. You know what I mean? Like, research the breed before you do it, so that you're happy having your dog. Yeah. That your dog is fun for you, instead of going like, oh my gosh, I can't take this.
So one of the biggest pieces of advice then that you would have to help with this problem is to talk to people who want a dog and to make sure that it's the right dog for them.
Absolutely.
And to think 5 years out, to think
Think
10 years out.
Yeah, when that dog has physical issues,
Right.
where's the money going to come from? If you're renting a place and right now you can have a small dog, but you know that you're probably, not going to be buying a house for a long time, maybe renting different places, and you know how hard the rental market is. Maybe you foster and maybe you don't adopt a dog now. Our application is very thorough, and I say no to people all the time because they get excited. They're like, oh my gosh, the puppy's so cute. That's going to be, we have a border collie puppy right now. She's fantastic. She's incredibly smart. With incredibly smart comes more work.
Yeah.
Because they're
incredibly
gonna need
smart,
more.
sometimes extremely difficult.
They're going to figure things out. They're going to outsmart you. So if you are, say, the family that's like, well, we like to watch movies on the weekend and, that's not going to be the dog for you, So I think that that's another part of the puzzle, picking the right dog. Don't just go off the looks or what's trendy. That's the crazy thing. Doodles are trendy. We're seeing so many in the shelters now because people get them and they go, oh my God, you have to take it to the groomer all the time. Oh my gosh. And that's expensive and hard to do. And,
be sure that you research what your responsibilities are going to be with this animal before you bring it into your life.
Absolutely.
And make sure that you're giving it the right kind of outlets.
Yeah. Or be willing to pay for a dog walker, a trainer, whatever it is. If you're like, absolutely, we want to have this dog, then also dogs are expensive. Vet bills now are very expensive. People are unrealistic about the fact that, getting some blood work done and some vaccine, you can be in, $500 very quickly.
Yes.
So that's something to think about. Are you going to get pet insurance? Or what are you going to do about, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and good dog ownership, keeping that dog for its life, spaying and neutering it, doing all the things. That's what's going to stop all of these issues,
So please, if you're out there and you're watching this and you want to adopt a dog, follow Anouk's advice. Listen to what she has to say. If you're an organization out there who's looking for an organization to offer some meaningful help to, whether it's financial help, whether it's additional pairs of hands, whether it's just materials, anything at all that can help, please get in contact with Anouk. novysark can use your help. They're doing very difficult work on a very consistent basis throughout the whole county and beyond, taking from high kill shelters, which are the highest risk environment for a lot of dog breeds that wind up in shelters in the first place. Go to novysark.org, get in contact, get involved. It's a big problem, and big problems require big solutions with lots of moving parts.
Yeah.
So let's all be moving parts to help dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, what could be better than helping
the
a bunch of dogs?
happy endings are great. The happy endings are great. Absolutely.
Right. So let's all do more of our part. Let's go find some dogs to help.
I've got some.
In any sense of the word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Anouk's got some dogs that you can help. When's your next event coming up?
We're trying to decide. This one's a little weird. We were supposed to have one on Saturday, but we thought it was going to be crazy hot, usually in Paso. So we scheduled it for like nighttime hours. So we're trying to decide if we're still going to do that or not. We probably will. If we do, it's going to be at Paso Brew.
Okay.
And it's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m.
On what day?
What is Saturday? The 14th?
This
Yes.
Saturday?
Yes, this Saturday.
This upcoming Saturday,
Yeah, it's the
September 14th.
Pretty sure.
Does that check out, Miguel?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Yes.
This
the 14th.
Saturday, September
Paso
14th.
Brew.
Paso Brew.
6 to 9 p.m.
6 to 9 p.m.
6 to 8 p.m. I lied. 6 to 8 p.m.
6 to 8 p.m.
Yes.
Paso Brew.
Paso Brew.
September 14th.
Yep.
This Saturday.
Yep.
Come see Anouk. Come meet the people who work with her. Come see some great dogs. And let's solve this problem.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way to say it. Let's solve the problem. Because even though you're doing this work, I can't imagine that this was your biggest dream growing up, to have to solve this kind of problem.
No. But
Exactly.
we're going to do it.
Well,
Let's do it.
someone's got to do it.
That's right.
So let's join forces and help Anouk. Thank you for watching or listening. Tune in next Friday for episode 5. As always, rely local, SLO County.